The time has come for me to make sure my hair is good enough for the thumbnail, and for me to talk about the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, One Battle After Another. Now, sorry for the sound, and I'm still trying to figure out a place for me to film these reviews, you know, not bothering my roommates, and also making sure it's, well, you know, as good as it can be. And I understand if, you know, the quality of these videos should be better, but I really don't want to waste time talking about, well, no, I don't want to waste time talking about Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. I would love to waste time talking about it. I'd rather not waste time getting to the point to talk about the movie, because the time has come to find the words to describe the masterpiece of modern day filmmaking that this movie is, which, okay, maybe it's hyperbole, but still. Now, the 10th film by critically acclaimed writer and director Paul Thomas Anderson, known best for Boogie Nights, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, and I listed those specifically because those are the ones I've seen. But I would love to watch Magnolia, The Master, Phantom Thread, Heart 8, and Licorice Pizza someday, because there really is anything unlike a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, other than you know it when you see it. Still, One Battle After Another was a movie from the very start, though its amazing title, the acclaim of the director, starred Leonardo DiCaprio, etc. I was just hyped for and excited to see, even if the story wasn't the most clear what it was going to be going in. It's loosely inspired, and again, I never read the book, so this is me just from what I can look up. A novel Vineland, written by Thomas Pynchon, which maybe that's how you pronounce it, but also he's the author of another book, Paul Thomas Anderson adapted, his most divisive, at least critically, Inherent Vice. And I don't know whether or not this counts as an original screenplay or adapted script, but that's not as important as, well, to talk about. Because speaking of important to talk about, there's actually important things in this movie to talk about over this technical element that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things other than award season. But yeah, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, past and present collide for the lives of Bob Ferguson, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and his high school-aged daughter Willa, played by Chase Infinity. The movie starts with the story of the far-left revolutionary group known as the French 75, including Bob as their explosion experts, and their head, his white perfidia Beverly Hills, Tiana Taylor, freeing immigrants from a detention center with the commanding officer, Stephen Lockjaw, Sean Penn, as the main antagonist of the story, entering the picture. And, oh boy, how do I describe Steve Lockjaw? I mean, it's just on full display, his sadistic ugliness, and, God, everything he does is set things in motion for this story. So what happens is, and this is my best to just not explain with spoilers, Lockjaw's planning to take down the French 75, and Perfidia to have escaped to Mexico, where she's never seen again, leaving Bob and their baby daughter Willa to go on the run. Bob and Willa being fake names, but I won't say what their real names are for confusion in this review. Anyways, in the present, Lockjaw plans to join an Illuminati-esque group of white supremacists known as the Christmas Adventure Club, as you do, but Lockjaw realizes he must destroy his secret before it can be discovered, and that secret is Willa. Well, it's not a secret of his motivation in the movie. I know I'm keeping it vague for this review. Once you figure it out for yourselves, you see just how far he's willing to silence the truth. Now, the film follows Bob on his own separate journeys as they end up separated, as Lockjaw, now with more corrupt power than he should have. Yeah, he does, uses it to seize the town Bob will live in, trying to have some sort of normalcy. Bob has become this burnout, middle-aged shell of his former self, smoking pot and getting drunk with nothing worth living for other than his daughter he loves more than anything else. Willa has the smarts and skills to take care of herself, but once Lockjaw's plan is in motion, we see the two put to the test as Bob is no longer the revolutionary he once was, and Willa finds a revolutionary within herself as both set out to survive Lockjaw's wrath and hope to survive one battle after another to reunite. The cast also includes Regina Hall as a former French 75 member as Willa's guide to safety, but Benicio del Toro as a sensei/secret underground sanctuary leader, and John Hugenaker as a Christmas Adventure Club member who invited Lockjaw into her club before learning his secret. When I said this movie doesn't sugarcoat its themes and messaging, I wouldn't really describe the movie's plot to be about the issues it tackles, but in the way it balances both the issues of modern-day America set in the background with a father-daughter story at the center you truly care about. While every performance is and should be praised, Sean Penn's Lockjaw is such a despicable, sleazy villain, as Lockjaw plays the type of man everyone unaware presumes he uses his power for their greater good, but, you know, when he's a disgusting hypocrite that, you know, will do whatever he can for further power and himself in the way, it's hard to tell if he's even aware of or it truly is just some delusional enough power to think he is in the right when he's just that selfish and disturbing as an antagonist. Without spoiling the story, it's really clear early on what choice he makes sets up everything in motion. And while on one hand it could have been kept a mystery, thankfully it's not. Nothing changed how I felt as the movie went later on, in terms of just what I like about the movie. Now, sometimes films are described as roller coasters, a ride you get on for entertainment sequences over depth and meaning, but from start to finish, we have a story to truly care about, both at the center and in the background. Like I said, Lockjaw's power starts with his role in charge of a detention center for immigrants, and later on reveals Del Toro's character own story as we see the true power of corruption in modern day America, and whether or not you want to connect it to modern day, it will remain a timeless showcase of power in the wrong hands and lies that, well, in the modern day, it will just lead to the wrong people to get away with whoever they want. Now, Bob's own journey for the revolution changed as his interest as father and for safety of his child clashed with Perfidia's own continuing desire for freedom, but now he's the shell of his former self, and Bob journeys through the town of Backton Cross where everything is in chaos, and his laziness and his diminished importance take its toll on him as he tries to figure out the rendezvous point with secret codes he can't remember, cluelessness, and how to handle himself, and even a rooftop run that, whether you figure it out or not, is still hilarious, and especially its outcome. Now, the movie is also really funny, but it never clashes with the tone. Rather, it makes sense if it's a character like Bob has become a joke of himself, while the world around him gets darker, or he's unaccustomed to it, as if it's never changed. It just feels different, and he just feels like he's this. It's just not the same, or you want to be the same, but change is change. And when it gets serious, it's amazing as we follow Will in Infinity's breakout role as she discovers the truth of her past, and she gives it her all as, well, when she cries, when she feels at the bottom, and triumphant when she can stand up for herself. And I just love how, and without spoilers, it's not really Bob saving her, rather Willa can save herself, since it shows that for people who may complain, oh, but you know, this makes Bob's character not have as much importance. This makes Bob like a really good father character, because he raised her right. Like, he did everything he could to make sure Willa was raised to handle herself. And I think that says a lot if you think of it that way, like way more than it was said out loud in the movie. But, but look, I just think Bob is the best father Will could have in this situation, at least. Even if he's the unconventional hero. And again, just plot spoilers. The movie has spectacular camera work thanks to cinematographer Michael Ballman and the use of 35mm VistaVision, though I did watch this in the regular format. So once in a while, I didn't notice when the movie would have a scene cropped, but it's shot what's important in the center. So maybe if I didn't know going in how differently my experience would be, but maybe I wouldn't have noticed it, or as much as I did. The movie has amazing long takes, with DiCaprio and Del Toro giving amazing performances as they journey through the chaos under Lockjaw's control, and the amazing visuals, like on Rooftop, we see lights of building red, white, and blue, or other scenes like Willa driving on the road. And God, I mean, trust me, I was like, man, this is really gonna back me driving back home after all this, just like when she drives high and up downhill, not a mountain or a hill, whatever, just driving up and down. It's just like you feel it over and over again. You just feel the height, the distance, unlike anything else seen. Like something like F1 with the racing. Like, as much as you feel the speed of it, this really made you feel the depth of it. And it might not be blazing speed for the movie's pacing. Like, okay, this movie is almost 3 hours long. I'm not sure when or where credits are included, but this movie never feels, for the most part, like it's a scene wasted. And at 2 hours and 50 minutes, it never gets boring. And like all his other movies, Anderson combines interesting characters, setting themes, and plot to make it all work. Except for one thing I'll get to, but I think holds it back. It just like, I don't want to say it yet, but let's talk about all the technical elements that make this movie as perfect as filmmaking can be. As I said, every other technical element, I just think like Johnny Greenwood's score is good, the sound design with the guns and the road chases should be studied. It has great use of tension, unlike anything else. Maybe Sinners, with things coming full circle and moments you don't know how they're going to play out. If I have one complaint, it is the outcome of Lockjaw's character. I don't know if it's underwhelming, if that could be the right word. Like, I didn't hate it. It's just the resolution of his character feels either dragged out or not brought to its proper conclusion. I think it should have been more personal. Without spoilers, given everything in this movie was set in motion because of Lockjaw, what happens to his character feels like it should be at the hands of Bob or Willa, but instead comes to another character that, well, it makes sense in the story. Like, I understand why this happens, and I was fine with it for the most part. I understand why. I can overlook it. When you think his character's out of the story, it turns out he's not. And the only scene I feel like I could have been cut or Like, I get the symbolic importance of it, and like just like, you know, maybe the triumph of how just a character like this gets this outcome. It's just the true final scene of Lockout feels like it repeats something we already had, that even if it's more satisfying in a more dark way or a symbolic way, we already had an outcome for his character that felt the same, not as different as we thought. But, you know, I know I'm being vague. It's whatever. I think I wish the outcome was just a little more personal. That's just all it is. I am satisfied, though, with the ending we got and what happens to Bob and Willie, even if I do have some questions, but I'm fine with that, being unaware. Because the point of the movie isn't necessarily the whole ensemble. It's the father and daughter story at its core. And without spoilers, I think I talked about everything I want to with one battle after another, between this, Sinners, and Life of Chuck. It's about for what will be my personal favorite film of 2025. A year that it took a long time to find its place in both the real world and the world of cinema. Life isn't always easy, and films like One Battle After Another reminds us of why movies are important and how they are told and shown. Make us love this way of storytelling and art. Maybe on a rewatch, I'll feel the length of this movie is almost 3 hours, and yet when everything's all said and done, maybe my opinion on the villain's outcome will change, and you know, it's just all of neither here nor there. Like, yeah, sure. One battle after another may not have the cultural significance yet Sinners does. It may not have the personal connection to me of something that talks about life and death like The Life of Chuck did. But this is Paul Thomas Anderson's masterpiece of filmmaking, themes of struggle, family, corruption, power, and modern day America. It might not be the movie everyone wants, but more than anything else, it is the movie everyone needs to understand both why film is important and why we need to look at one battle after another and be inspired to make the world a better place. And it is a film that can accomplish that. That they truly, there is nothing else like it right now, like One Battle After Another. And I recommend anyone who can to go see this movie and make sure it's a success it can be. I give One Battle After Another a 9.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe.